Welcome once again, my fellow manipulators of digital fate. I'm Richie, this is Capricorn. Today's video is just a very quick channel update, letting you guys know where the channel's at right now and what the future is looking like for Capricorn as a whole. So first of all, I need to acknowledge the fact that we just recently hit 10,000 subscribers. That is a huge milestone for me. That's something that I've been grinding towards for years. And very quickly over the last 9 months, things have really drastically sped up, and that's thanks to all of you guys. So many new people have found the channel, have subscribed, and have started watching all of my videos, and it means an absolute metric shit ton to me. So if you guys have found me in the last year or so, thank you so much for being a part of my journey. Thank you so much for, subscribing to the channel, for liking my videos, for spending some portion of your day watching my videos. It means a lot. Those of you who have been with me a bit longer know that I've been grinding for quite a while and know just how much work that I put into this channel. It's pretty much all I do from the moment I wake up until the moment I go to bed. Almost every day, when I need to take a day off to do other things, I try to work, double as much on another day to prep content, to make sure we're still getting content up even on the days that I'm busy with other stuff, family, or just life in general. So you guys that have stuck by me since the beginning, especially you guys, thank you so much. It just means a lot that you guys are resonating, finding my content to be something you can resonate with, and connecting with the content. And it's very humbling to see this channel grow. I've been working so hard, and I'm not gonna ramble on and on about it any longer, but thank you guys so much. If you're new here and this is your first video, you're probably coming in at the wrong spot. I suggest checking out one of my deck tech videos first. But even if you are new here and this is the first video that you're catching, be sure to subscribe. It does mean a lot. It does help me out a lot. So thank you so much. And of course, all of you guys that have been subscribers for a while now, make sure you hit that like button so that we can continue to have the channel to grow. Now, it's looking like very quickly this channel is going to become a full-time thing for me. That's what's in the very near future. And some of you know that I've tried over the last couple years to, go full-time with this channel to a certain extent. Not quite full-time, but as close to that as I could get, with varying degrees of success. Sometimes I do a pretty good job putting up a video every day, and I can stay on that pretty consistently. Other times it's been really hard to make the time that I needed to, but throughout it all I have really stuck to just trying to do everything I can to help the channel to grow, to get more videos out to you guys as quickly as I can, as consistently as I can. And we're finally at a point where very quickly, if not now, within a month from now, I think the channel will be full-time. We will be doing a video almost every day. Now, lately we've been doing that anyway. The last couple of weeks we've been pretty much hitting a deck tech video almost every day ever since 𝑏loomburrow came out. And I've done my best to keep up with that. And you can expect that kind of pacing to continue, if not right now, definitely within a month from now. And that's all thanks to a new sponsor that we have on the channel. I finally was able to get the channel to a point where we could take on our first, what I'd like to call, big boy sponsorship, our first real sponsorship for the channel. And that's what's going to allow us to take the channel full-time. It's going to help the channel to be successful to a degree where I don't have to spend as much time in my personal life doing other things, and I can double down on spending that time on the channel, on streaming over on Twitch. So what that means for all of you guys is those once-a-day uploads that I'm trying so hard to hit, they're going to happen so much more consistently. Now, am I going to miss an upload sometimes? Sure. I'm not going to be perfect, Every once in a while, I'm going to miss one. I'm going to be busy, whatever. But it is going to allow me to almost always hit that consistent upload every single day for you guys. And more importantly, for the Twitch audience, I'm going to get to stream. I'm going to get to go back to streaming 5 days a week, at least, sometimes more than that, which I was doing for a while, and I've been kind of back and forth. Sometimes it's just really hard to find the time to stream as much as I'd like. And obviously when a set first drops, I'm streaming more. And we always have community night on Thursdays, which you guys are welcome to be a part of. And when we hit our sub goals over on Twitch, we do have a Crack-a-Pack community night. So community night turns into Crack-a-Pack, where everyone that beats me in games gets to win packs of cards, which is always fun. I mail those out once a month on the first of the month if you live in the continental United States. If you're outside of that area, it's once a year, or you can gift what you win to other people in chat, and we always have a really good time with that. So that will continue no matter what. But with the channel going full time, with the new sponsorship we took on, I'm going to have more time to stream. It's going to be a lot easier for me to keep up with daily streams over on Twitch. So if you're someone that likes to see what I'm up to behind the scenes, see me brew the decks before they're perfect, you know, see me play limited, see me do all of the things that aren't necessarily a part of the actual deck tech videos that I upload, that's what Twitch is for. You know, it's a peek behind the curtain, and there's going to be a lot more of that happening. And then also with the channel going full-time, it's going to allow me to sometimes stream live on YouTube. Now, it's not going to be a normal thing. I've weighed the pros and cons, and I think for the most part, YouTube being something where people look forward to my curated content and having that be very different from what's happening over on Twitch is what kind of makes YouTube special. That being said, I've been toying around with the idea of, now that I'm going to have more time to spend streaming and creating content, maybe doing like a once a week stream on YouTube specifically, and have it being something a little bit different. So if that's something you'd like to see, if you'd like to see like a once a week stream on YouTube, whether it be community night sort of thing, or maybe that's when I'm doing my drafting, which is something very different from what I normally post on YouTube, stuff like that, let me know in the comments if you'd like to see those once a week streams on YouTube specifically, and let me know what you'd like to see those streams consisting of, because like I said, it could be me playing limited, which I don't do a lot on YouTube videos, it could be community night, it could be me trying to rank up on the ladder, which is another goal that now that I have more time and I'm trying to take the channel full time, we're going to be making it a priority that when the season resets every month, we can get back to making sure we get to Mythic. Now, when I first started this channel, we got Mythic all of the time. The 6 months before, right before I started the channel, we went Mythic every single month. But ever since we started the channel, it's got harder and harder. And the reason for that isn't because the decks aren't good enough to get to Mythic. It's more just my priority is constantly coming up with interesting decks that are, you know, Capricorn-ass decks, right? That we can post on the channel, that are the kind of decks you guys want to see, that are not jank, that are better than jank, that can be competitive, and at the same time, not be meta, be something different, be something unique that can stand toe-to-toe with the meta. And I feel like that's kind of a hard line to walk, and most content creators don't do it. Most content creators are on one side or the other. You know, you're either playing really good meta decks that are kind of like setting the bar for what the meta is going to be, or you're on the other side of the spectrum where you're playing a lot of jank decks where you can do something really cool, but it's not going to be super consistent. It happens 1 in every 20 games, right? And the deck overall is not going to be super competitive. We try very hard here specifically to walk that line and to put up decks that are right in the middle, where we're taking a unique, interesting idea that under normal circumstances might just be relegated to jank, but it's something that I believe in enough and that I find enough nuance in that I can iterate on it and really min-max it and get it to a point where it is actually competitive and it can stand toe-to-toe with those meta decks. So I feel like that's kind of the specialty for this channel, and I feel like that's what I'm best at, and I feel kind of like that's what I'm called to do with the channel, is to mostly focus on that, in addition to spoilers, of course, because I have a passion for covering spoilers. Some of you might remember me bringing this up in the past, most of you probably don't, but the whole reason this channel started is I was inspired by SBMTG, Strictly Better Magic. If you haven't seen that YouTube channel, it's one of the oldest Magic channels, and Dev, absolute sweetheart, also happens to really love Chrono Cross as much as I do, which is another really interesting bit of random info that no one really needs to know, but it matters to me because I love that game and he happens to love that game. But I digress. I'm getting off topic. His channel really inspired me in the beginning. Before I started my channel for like a year or two, I was always watching Dev's channel when spoilers came out, right? And I was always excited to see his take on spoilers, and I would always get excited about bouncing an idea, like something he said gave me an idea of, oh, but he didn't say that, but why didn't he point out this? And he does such a good job, and I'm definitely not taking away from what he does because he's one of my favorite content creators. But I found myself every time I watched his spoiler videos thinking like, oh man, I wish he brought up this, oh, I wish he brought up that, oh, I wish, and I was like, well, why don't I just do it, right? And in the early days of the channel, I didn't have enough subscribers to really make it worth doing the spoiler content, because the thing about spoilers is they're only relevant for so long. You know, after a few days of them being out there, no one really cares enough. No one's going to come watch my videos, right? Someone already saw all of the spoilers on a different channel or whatever. So in the early days when I didn't have much of a subscriber base to kind of like give me a head start on getting my spoiler content out there, my spoiler content was very much a failure, right? It was like hitting a brick wall. It didn't get enough views because by the time the algorithm started to pick it up and put it out there for people to see, people had kind of moved on. They'd already known about the spoilers. They were looking forward to the next ones. So all of that stuff was a pretty big failure in the early days. But luckily, like the other side of the channel, the deck techs, which was another big passion of mine, were able to kind of take off in a way that helped the channel to grow really quick and kind of snowball. And now we're at a point that now that we have like 10,000 subscribers, we have a huge head start whenever we launch spoiler videos where enough people watch them right away that the algorithm picks them up and pushes them out to new people before the news becomes so old that people don't care about it and it's not relevant anymore. So you guys have probably noticed in the last few sets in particular, I really stepped up my game with spoiler content, and we're doing a lot more spoiler content. So that's going to be kind of a foundational piece of the channel moving forward. If I had to gauge it, I would still say the deck techs are a little bit more important to what this channel is doing, because those are happening, you know, 24/7, like 365 days a year. Like, we're constantly doing the deck techs, whereas spoilers are only really relevant at particular times of the year. But the spoiler content is still going to be a very big foundational pillar of what this channel is moving forward. And there's a lot coming as far as moving forward. I'm working on a merch store right now. We're going to have some really cool stuff available for sale. My focus as far as the merch is having stuff that really ties into the channel, but also doubling down on ideas for like shirts and stuff. That's stuff that you'd want to wear to your LGS, like stuff you'd want to go out to your Friday Night Magic wearing, something clever, something funny, something that like really makes a point about the current state of Magic today, so that you can sit across from your opponent wearing a shirt and immediately have something important to say about the game, or something really funny, or some kind of meta take on the game that they can just stare at your shirt across the table and instantly know where you stand as far as Magic. I've got a lot of ideas, but if you happen to have ideas, you know, slogans, things to bring up, to put on shirts, to put on coffee mugs, all that stuff, definitely let me know in the comments, because we're taking all of the ideas that we can gather from the community right now, especially over on Twitch. We've already been doing this, but you guys on YouTube especially, leave me your ideas. You know, if you have ideas about things I've done or said in the past that would be funny to put on merch, or just things you think are super relevant to Magic today or really meta. One example that I came up with is having a shirt that just says "fuck alchemy," because you guys know how much I hate alchemy, and I think that would be hilarious to just wear to your LGS and let people know exactly where you stand. So just so you know where my head's at concerning stuff like that, that's kind of the direction I'm going. But there's lots and lots of opportunities as far as the merch is concerned, so let me know your ideas in the comments. But yeah, I'm really excited about going full-time with the channel. I'm really excited about the opportunities that are in front of us in the future. And I want to make sure to let you guys know that even though we already have a sponsorship right now, a full-time sponsorship, I am looking for a second sponsor. I would like it to be something very different from what the first sponsor is. I don't want any stepping on each other's toes. So if you guys know of any, services or brands or products out there that might be interested in a sponsorship, I'm going to link my email that you can hit up for any kind of business inquiries in the descriptions of my videos from now on, and that's QuarantinedCapricorn@gmail.com. So be sure to have those people email me, and we can get to chatting on potential partnerships in the future. I do want to point out that I am very picky about whoever I take on as a sponsorship. I'm not just going to take whatever comes my way because they're willing to pay me or whatever the case may be. I want to be super transparent that if I pick up any kind of sponsorship whatsoever on this channel, that it's going to be something that I believe in. I'm never just going to grab whatever because it helps me be a full-time channel, right? That just goes against everything that I believe in. Coming up in the music community, come from being, in bands and being a concert promoter for so many years. I just kind of have that ingrained into my core that you stand up for what you believe in, you wear your heart on your sleeve, and whatever sponsorships I take on, they're going to be products or services that I actually believe in. I'm never going to just lie to, my subscriber base, to my community about a product or a service because I need to make rent or whatever the case may be. So you can definitely trust whatever I'm putting out there. I'm always going to be transparent. So it's important to me we keep that going forward. So I am taking, all potential sponsorships into consideration, but that doesn't mean I'm necessarily just going to jump on something. It's got to be the right fit for the channel. And my first sponsorship is Wonders of the First, which is a new card game. It's created by one of the legendary R&D Magic the Gathering creators, Brian Tinsman. He left Wizards of the Coast. He started his own company, made this game, and I actually reached out to them initially. They didn't reach out to me. And the reason I reached out to them is because normally when I see another game or I find another card game, I don't bother. It just seems like there's a sea of Magic clones. There's so many different games out there, right? And none of them seem like they're as good as Magic. They're all just like poor man's Magic the Gathering, right? They're all just kind of a waste of time. Like, why would I be playing this other game when I could just be playing Magic, which is the best game, right? There was something that stood out to me about Wonders of the First right from the get-go. Part of it might be the UI they have, their unique approach to like how they lay out the cards that makes the card art just really pop even from across the room. Something about the game initially attracted me, and then as I started to learn more about the game and how its resource management worked and all of that, I started to find solutions to some of the long-time problems I've had with Magic. You guys know, if you've been paying attention to me for quite a while, that I hate Mana Flood, I hate Mana Screw, and I feel like Magic as a game, as much as I love it and as much as it will always be my #1 game, my favorite game, it is foundationally flawed, right? There's problems with Mana Screw and Mana Flood that just create so many feel bad moments. And now that we have Magic the Gathering Arena and we're able to play so many games in such a short time, all of those problems become way more obvious. Whereas in the old days, when you had to play, face to face, you could play a lot less games than you could on, in the same amount of time on Arena. And so there was sort of like this feeling of like, well, I think the Mana Flood, Mana Screwed thing is kind of broken, but I'm not sure. Now that we have Arena, we can play hundreds and hundreds of games just back to back. And it's so obvious now, getting to play that many games consistently on Arena, that the game is just fundamentally flawed. And that doesn't mean it was fundamentally flawed. I think the problem is the variance that lands bring and the degree to which Mana Flood or Mana Screw impacts the game is so much worse now than it used to be, because all of those core concepts and the foundational rules that were put in place behind, lands and the way things curve out and all of that, they were based on how powerful Magic was during its first set, you know? And because of power creep, Magic is so much more powerful now than it ever used to be, and the power level of a single turn is way higher. So whereas in, you know, the first few sets of Magic, if, you know, you whiffed a turn because you didn't have enough land or because you were just drawing too many lands in a row, it wasn't as big a deal because it wasn't going to impact the game substantially just whiffing one turn, right? It was going to take multiple turns for that to really matter, but now a single turn is so powerful, players are doing so much in just one turn, that if you whiff a turn because you draw a land and you're out of gas, or, you know, you don't have enough lands and you're mana screwed, well, now it's just backbreaking. Now losing that turn to your opponent and your opponent is still efficiently playing everything out, it's basically like giving them a free time walk and they get so far ahead that you can't really catch up. So it's not that the amount of times or the likelihood of getting mana flood or mana screwed has changed. You know, how consistent that happens is still about the same, but what's changed is how badly that hurts you as a player. Getting mana flood or mana screwed in today's standard is just so backbreaking, it almost just decides the game on its own, right? Whereas back in the day, the power level was so low, it took a lot longer to get wins. So if you know, mana flood or mana screwed, you'd have multiple turns to try to catch back up. And that's not the case anymore. So it's always been a problem, and I know I kind of went off on a tangent describing this, but I need you guys to understand where my head is at with Magic. So, to come full circle, as much as I love Magic, and I could never see Magic being anything but my primary game, you know, and I'm always going to get super excited when there's a new set, and I'm always going to get excited about brewing new standard decks and all of that stuff when a new set drops. I never really see that going away, but I am getting more and more over time upset about how badly flawed the game is and how it's not balanced for today's Magic, you know? And so having something like, you know, Wonders of the First, seeing this game approach their resources in a way that sort of mitigate that sort of allow you to not have to suffer some of the same problems with mana flood and mana screw that Magic has, is kind of a breath of fresh air. And the one downside to most games that don't have that problem, games like Hearthstone or Legends of Runeterra, is you get rid of a lot of the variance and the RNG, because having lands in your deck has an element of variance or randomness where it makes it so that you're not always going to consistently curve out exactly the way you want to, and you're going to have to adapt to games where you have more or less resources available to you than what you're planning for. And so having lands in your deck brings that sort of variance that games like Hearthstone and Legends of Runeterra are missing, and games like that have to replace it with sort of, you know, artificial variance by having a lot of mechanics revolve around randomness, putting random tokens into play, like snagging random cards from your deck and playing them, like that sort of thing. So there's always been sort of like you're on one side of the spectrum, like Magic, where you have your variance with lands so that you don't have to have as many random effects, or you're on the other side where you have no variance in your resources, like Hearthstone, but you have to introduce all of this artificial randomness because of it, and it just, for me, makes the game less fun. And so to circle full circle all the way back around here to Wonders of the First, Wonders of the First walks the line in the middle, where they have the variance from lands because you have lands in the game and you have them in your deck and you have to draw them, right? And when you draw them, they're obviously not going to be as powerful as drawing an actual spell or an actual, like, card that you can play that will impact the game. But you don't need them as much as you need Magic, because you also get automatic resources generating every turn, and you get additional resources generating from stones that you're capturing in the realms that you're fighting for. So you have all of these ways of generating automatic resources, like Hearthstone and Legends of Runeterra, But in addition to that, you have ways of getting cost reduction on the things that you're playing from your hand if you have the right lands in play that correspond to the same orbital or the same color as the cards that you're playing. So the best decks will find ways of still using the lands, which still brings in that variance, so that you can get stuff out quicker, cheaper, more efficiently. But at the same time, you don't absolutely need those lands in order to play things. So it's not a huge hit or hugely detrimental to you if you don't get those lands. It's just a negligible difference. So by walking the middle there, you're allowed to kind of have the variance that lands bring without having Mana Screw or Mana Flood be anywhere near as detrimental or impacting as it is in a game of Magic. So with all of that rambling out of the way, to reel it back in and make my point, I feel like Wonders of the First is the only game I've found so far that has been able to walk that line in the middle, where you still have the variance that Magic brings for having lands in your deck, but you also have some of that consistency that games like Hearthstone or Legends of Runeterra bring with automatic resources, and you're able to kind of walk the line between the two, and I feel like it makes for a much more balanced game at the end of the day. So anyway, I am excited that Wonders of the First has agreed to take me on as far as being the first sponsorship for this channel. I do believe in the product. I know there is some hate out there being slung around about this game, and I would not be surprised if a lot of that comes from Wizards of the Coast, because Brian Tinsman used to work for the company, and in fact at one point he was the guy in the company that was it was his job to find other games that could be competition for Magic and to seek those games out and to identify them. So I would not be surprised at all if Wizards is a little bit worried about this game and if they're trying to put a little bit of bad mojo out into the community. So if you do hear bad things about this game, it might be that. But I will always be completely transparent and honest with you guys with how I feel about the game, regardless of the sponsorship. My review of that game has been up on the channel for a few weeks, and I did that review before taking on this sponsorship, and I told them flat out it was very important to me that we did not sign anything and we did not have a deal until after that review went live, because I wanted to be completely honest and transparent about the game. So if you're interested in hearing more in depth what I feel about that game and its pros and cons and what I like and dislike about it, check that out. And after I've played the game for longer, maybe at the end of the year, I will make a second review video for it where I can point out how things have changed over time, or how things might be the same, what my feelings are after being way more experienced with the game. So that will happen probably at the end of the year, December or January. We'll be doing an updated review. And again, all of that stuff, it's always going to be transparent. I'm never going to lie just because I have a sponsorship with this company, so I need you guys to understand that from the get-go. And for those of you that do not care about this game or other games at all and are strictly just here for the Magic content, I need to reassure you this channel will always be a Magic the Gathering channel first and foremost before anything else. It will always be the primary game. That being said, Wonders of the First is a nice breath of fresh air. It's another game that I'm having way more fun with than I ever expected myself to have with a card game that isn't Magic the Gathering. And honestly, I find myself enjoying Magic more when I'm able to step away and play this game for a little bit and kind of have a different spin and think differently about my interactions than I can in Magic, and then sort of come back to Magic fresh. So it's been really a breath of fresh air, and it's helped me to enjoy Magic even more than I used to, because I'm not just completely grinding Magic constantly all the time and getting burnt out on it, which is really, really nice. So Magic will be foundationally the #1 thing on this channel. There's only going to be at most one video for Wonders of the First every week, but there's going to be daily uploads for Magic the Gathering. So if you only care about Magic, don't worry about any of it. You're good. Everything's good. But as far as for this channel moving forward and what this channel needs in order to be full-time and to really turn it up to 11 and go full steam ahead, they are going to be the first sponsor of the channel, and I am super grateful to those guys for becoming our sponsor. And honestly, a lot of what they have cooking up is really, really awesome and really impressive. And even just as far as the developers and how they engage with the community, it's been really refreshing. They are super community first. They have 8 decks right now that are available to download as print and play decks for free. I don't know any other game that is just putting their stuff out there for free and saying, just play it. Don't buy it if you don't want to. Just play it. We're so sure you're going to like the game that after you play it a bunch with all the free stuff, you'll probably want to buy the actual cards. So 8 free print and play decks available on their website, and if you have Tabletop Simulator, they have that available as well. There is a packet you can download, a mod for Tabletop Simulator that is free, that allows you to play the game in its entirety on Tabletop Simulator with, I believe, all 8 of those print and play decks are available in digital form on the Tabletop Simulator version of the game. You don't even need a camera, right? It all happens within the Tabletop Simulator program itself. So literally all you need is Tabletop Simulator, and then you get this mod, you download it, and you're good to go. So very, very cool that they're community first and that they're allowing people to just play their game for free because they're that sure in how good the game is and that it will stand the test of time. So I'm excited about that. Check that out if you're interested. But yeah, big things coming for the channel moving forward. This sponsorship opportunity happening at the same time that we hit 10,000 subscribers. It's just very serendipitous, and it's huge for our ability to be able to push forward and go full time. And you're gonna see a lot of crazy changes over the next couple months. All good things. We're gonna keep the best of what the channel does. We're gonna keep what works, and then we're going to iterate on what doesn't work as well and make it even better. So I have some new art coming in. I have a new logo I'm working on. Like I already mentioned, we've got the merch store that's going up. All of that's going to be rolling out over the next couple months, and I'm really excited about it. So I ramble a lot, and I apologize, but thank you guys so much for sticking with me. It means the absolute world to me, and we're on our way to 20K. And then 100K after that. I am fully invested. We are going in all the way, full steam ahead, and I'm going to give it everything I've got. So thank you so much for sticking with me. That's going to do it for this video. And before I let you guys go, I'm going to let you guys really quickly see my mid-roll ad for Wonders of the First. That this ad is going to be appearing in all of my Magic deck text moving forward. So yeah, thanks so much for your support. Thanks for sticking it out with me. Let me know how you're feeling about all of this in the comments. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have. And like I said before, if you have any ideas of a second sponsor, or if you're someone out there that would like to be a sponsor for the channel and like to discuss that, definitely hit me up for all business inquiries at QuarantinedCapricorn@gmail.com. And I'll see you guys next time. I'd like to thank the sponsor of today's video, Wonders of the First. Wonders of the First is a brand new collectible card game similar to games like Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon, featuring a unique action-based resource economy that helps avoid pitfalls like Mana Flood or Mana Screw, and a battlefield containing multiple realms that unlock over time as you fight for control of the stones. The first 400 card set is called Existence and will launch to retail in the fall, but Kickstarter bundles are available to order now. And they haven't forgotten about all you collectors out there. The game contains alternate borderless art variants, as well as highly sought after limited edition numbered prints, culminating in a one-of-one stone foil. And the best part is that the developers have a community-first approach, with 8 print and play decks available on their website, as well as a version of the game available on Tabletop Simulator, all for free. For more information, be sure to check out wondersccg.com today. That's wondersccg.com. Thanks so much for checking out my channel. I'd like to give a huge shout out to all of my patrons over at Patreon. Without you guys, this channel would not be possible, so honestly, thank you from the bottom of my heart for all of your contributions. If you haven't yet, like and subscribe. The more likes we get and the quicker we get them, the bigger this channel will grow and the faster it will grow. I'd love nothing more than this channel to become something very special for you guys, but it's entirely up to you how fast that happens. Also, if you'd like more deck text, that's somewhere over there. And if you'd like to see what else the channel's been up to lately, that's somewhere up that way. Also, subscribe, circle below, do all the things.